This first set is dead even.
Unbelievable combination.
Wow.
Beautifully done.
What a great spot. Good morning, hello, and welcome to the 2025-26 APTA Tour. We're live from the Rolling Hills Country Club in Wilton, Connecticut, bringing you the 2026 Fairfield Open with live streaming brought to you by the APTA membership and our tour presenting sponsor, Corient. Tournament support has also been provided by the following local tournament sponsors: the Cocktail Collection, Open, Pour, and Serve, the Fairfield County Women's Platform Tennis League, Fairfield County Men's Platform Tennis League, the Rolling Hill Paddle Ladies, what a great group they are, Voyage Group at Wells Fargo Advisors, Connecticut Dermatology Group, FX Air, Trivium, Connecticut GI, M4 Paddle, Xenon Paddle, and Bar Taco. I'm Patty Hogan along with Lauren Mandel, bringing you the women's final between our tournament number 2 seeded team of Allison Morgan and Charlotte Sikora up against our tournament number 3 seeded team of Taya Page and Mila Saric. Our umpire for the match is Mark Lester. Welcome, Lauren.
Good morning, Patty. We have a delightful morning ahead of us. I think you see on your screen the pictures of the 4 players. On the side closest to us in the bright blue jacket in the ag court is Allison Morgan and her partner Charlotte Sikora. Allison's from Chicago and Charlotte's from Pennsylvania, and they're the number 2 seeds. And on the far side of the court, which I will tell you what they're wearing when we can see them better. Oh, well, they're wearing the same thing. So in the ad court is Taya Page, and Mila Saric is a lefty serving in the deuce court. So she's the lefty. And both these teams, Patty, had really tough semifinal matches yesterday. They both dropped the first set before coming through.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be a spectacular match, and it's ideal paddle conditions. As you can see, 26 degrees out there, little northwest wind, subtle wind, nothing that will factor into play, it looks like. And Morgan and Sikora, they have to have awakened this morning with a huge sigh of relief that they've returned to the finals. This is a team who's played, probably in 10 finals of APTA Tour events the last couple seasons, kind of hit a wall there the second half of the season. So I think this is a tremendous start to the second half of the season for a little bit of a resurgence with the team of Morgan and Sikora. And then the Page Saric win over the tournament number 1 seeded team of Macy Elliott yesterday and Lisa Lalich was a shock in ways to us, and but a shock in a phenomenal way for the sport of platform tennis, because we're seeing the rise of these youngsters. We've seen on the men's side with Leon Royo made an immediate impact this year, and Mila Saric, she's making an immediate impact, and she has proved to us, Lauren, yesterday in that match, she is in the upper echelons already in the women's paddle in our sport. She handled most of what Lalich and Elliott sent her way yesterday. Page emerged. I mean, she was just rock solid as we expected her. And that was a phenomenal win over Elliott and Lalich. So I think this sets up for an intriguing final today here in Fairfield.
Yeah, I mean, in that semifinal, first of all, Patty, we thought we were going to be done in a half hour because Elliott and Lalich were up 5-1 in about 10 minutes. So all credit to Page and Saric, who worked their way into that match. And then, we wondered, right? We wondered, as by far the least experienced player on the court, if Saric, how she was going to do in the closing stages of that match, when things got really tense. And she held her own and more and played beautifully. No sign of nerves. Served a great game towards the end, and they deserved to win. And, Morgan Sikora also, they had to come through. They lost the first set decisively to Georgie Alexandre and Mahalovic, and then, but like we've seen them do many times before, they are a tough team, Morgan and Sikora. You have to beat them, and they were able to withstand the challenge. So yeah, I mean, let's see if there's any letdown for Page and Sarge today. Let's see if Morgan and Sikora can impose themselves, like you said, and win another tournament. And they haven't won one yet this year, and there's lots of exciting things to look for in this match.
Yeah, we know that we will not have repeat winners of the Fairfield Open. Last year's event, the inaugural event, was won by Burris and Elliott, and they beat Hanish and Sabori in last year's final. So we'll have a new champion for sure, and I think it's going to be intriguing. Really fast, 29 sponsors help pull this event off financially. They raised $50,000 to make the player experience here, the fan experience here spectacular. Speaking of that, there's an open Bloody Mary bar right now and a mimosa bar for any spectators or players who are not on the courts. And Lauren, don't rush out because I need you to talk about the match. But just one of the great amenities that Jeff Kong and Macy Elliott put together for this fun event.
Okay, let's see. Taya Page serving to start us off. Page and Saric using the I formation to make sure that they start off each point while serving with both of their forehand overheads in the middle. That's what they've been doing the whole tournament.
So before we came on air, we talked about who we thought was going to win the match and why, and each of us could put a good argument for both teams having, kind of this match is a pick 'em in ways because you have a veteran team working Sikora, you have a brand new team on this side with Saric and Taya Page. But I mean, Taya Page last year in everyone's mind rose to the top of the game with P. Lopez. Obviously, they made it to the finals of the national championship. As an individual, Paige possesses some real unique skills that make her a standout. And she was so rock solid, steady throughout play yesterday. Sarge had some little streaky play, I would say at times, but they, as together, so impressed me because they made the necessary adjustments
right
in that match, and that's a sign of a really poised veteran team, not a newbie team. So
that was just a great move by Paige. I mean,
yeah. And Lauren, I think this match is going to come down to, I feel Paige and Sarge, nothing to lose, no pressure in this match, and for that reason, maybe I'll tilt it in their favor a little bit. But in order for them to win, they're going to have to figure out the middle of the court.
Yeah.
Because they've got the lefty-righty. We'll talk about that a lot.
Right.
But you can see even in that first point, Morgan is such a great tactical player, great shot selection. She put a lob up that, went through because there was a little bit of lack of communication between the lefty-righty who's going to take it. So I think that's going to be the key for, for Paige and Saric to come through in this match.
And you see in that I formation, that's a hard first volley to make. Their forehand volleys are in the middle, and it's I get it that you want those overheads, but you got to get into the point first. So,
and what you mean by that is when the team started the point, they started in the I versus in a traditional formation, which we saw yesterday. So if people didn't watch it yesterday, they didn't really hear us talking about it. So.
And you saw it, like you said, Allison Morgan exposed it right away. She got the ball right down the middle to Paige's forehand volley, and it was just a good return and a really tough volley. So let's see if she keeps exposing that, and they maybe have to think about switching it.
Right, and Lauren, when a righty-lefty team play, they will switch to get their forehand overheads in the middle to better defend lobs. But in setting up in the I, ironically, to get those forehands in the middle for lob coverage, it makes defending the drive slightly harder.
That time, Saric took the first volley and took care of that problem.
Yeah. Morgan Sikora, what a great team, great women. What do they have to do to win this match, Lauren, in your opinion?
I think they have to lob really well, and I think that I think they have to expose the middle, and I think they have to just play their. They're going to play solid. They're going to look for Charlotte to, find some balls to come in on, and I think they just have to mix it up. I mean, that's when they play their best, when they sort of keep you off balance, because they can do a lot of different things. They're not going to out-hit or try to out-hit Saric and Page. They're not going to try to make this a match about bashing the ball like yesterday. That was some really high power paddle. This isn't going to be that. This is going to be more of a tactical match, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. You know what I'm going to look for Morgan Sikora, for them to win this match. I think what they do beautifully as a team is their teamwork from the baseline in particular. I thoroughly enjoy watching them because they feed off each other's offense. And you don't, like, Charlotte's more of a pure ball striker.
Right.
Allison mixes in all off-speed kinds of shots and doesn't really bring the heat per se, like what Sikora can bring, especially off her two-handed backhand. That's her favorite shot for sure. And so Morgan and Sikora are disciplined, and they'll work together to break down Page and Saric's net coverage, in my opinion. So for them to win, if they do that, that's going to be a big problem, I think, for Page and Saric. And I think that's what I didn't see out of Elliott and Lalich, interesting yesterday from the baseline, Lauren. I didn't see that their shots were feeding off each other, where I feel like with Morgan and Sikora, they do, and that's what makes them, top 4 team in the women's game. Allison Morgan serving. And lefties. Mila Saric just hit that return out of that 2-square.
Saric really likes that backhand. She's very, very comfortable taking it early. She likes it as a backhand overhead, too.
Yes. You see right away, Sikora Morgan pull the switch. Sikora's the taller of the 2 players, and she'll oftentimes get herself in that position to the left.
Yeah, I mean, Sikora also has many different overheads, different spins. She can
variety.
More variety than Morgan. And Morgan has a good overhead, but Sikora also has that big roller, and she can really switch up the overheads.
I feel like this match is all about Saric. What she does is going to determine the outcome. We know what we're going to get from Morgan Sikora. We know what we're going to get from Page. Saric is the unknown, kind of, but she's becoming known really fast.
Yeah, quickly.
Morgan Sikora switching the baseline, putting Sikora in that ad court. I like that move early on in this match, Lauren.
Yeah.
Personally, I think they need to switch back and forth and become a little bit less predictable.
Less predictable. Yes, I agree. I think that they have to keep them off their toes. Or on their toes.
And you made a comment before we went on the air about, we were talking about predictability, and we were talking about the individuals players, and you say, Saric coming into the game and as a lefty holds an advantage over players because they just haven't seen her play yet.
Yeah.
You heard a cheer on another APTA YouTube channel. Is the men's final underway, which is such a great format here out of Fairfield County to come up with this for this event. I love the idea of both the men and the women playing. The Bloody Mary mimosa bar going. You can see the fans out there. We got hospitality tent. They got it all. They thought of everything, Lauren, today. Maybe one move too many, Lauren?
Yeah, sometimes, yes. Yes. Sikora moves so well around the net and volleys so well that sometimes she gets a teeny bit ambitious.
We in yesterday's semifinal, we had such streaky play with teams running off like 4 games in a row. I just don't feel like we'll see that today. I kind of feel like this is going to be neck and neck for a while.
Well, that was just went from 40 love to deuce, so we'll see if Morgan can now hold.
Saric to that deuce court, as you can see, favors hugely her two-handed backhand, and with good reason. It's a beautiful stroke.
She hit that return like right at the service line.
And I think that's great. Morgan, not the hardest server, so it's going to be really critical for her to serve deep today.
Yes.
Because Paige and Saric both will tee off otherwise.
I mean, she has one of the best first volleys out there, Morgan. But sometimes if the serve's not deep enough, that's just too much to handle on the return. Okay, from love 40, Morgan and Sikora lose their serve.
That hurt.
Yeah.
Morgan and Sikora, the way they play and the type of game for them, I think they're well suited when they get ahead a little bit in the match, Lauren. I think that, like at this point in the season, with some little bit of struggles, frustrations out there as a team, I think this is going to be a huge telling. This is a big moment in this match because they've got to figure out get it like a spark as a team. I feel like we talked about predictability. The spark is definitely the
that'll give you a little spark,
right? But what they do, the spark is like their surprise blitz, let's say, where they do really well with Morgan moving around her lobs, Sikora identifying that and making the move. And I want Morgan to blitz as well. I don't think she does it enough because I always feel like, Lauren, sometimes when you hit that lob and you have a real good sense that it's going to be really effective or that person's going to be really off balance who's hitting it, you get a really even earlier look than your partner on it or a better sense. So I would like Morgan to be to bring that a little bit more here today. Great lob.
That's the lob.
Yep.
You can see that's a good angle to see with that big heavy roller. Once you step out of the way of it, it's almost impossible, even as fast as Saric is, to catch up to it. You have to just immediately go. But that's not so easy because you also have to make sure the ball doesn't hit you.
Right. It's when you see your opponent winding up, you have to head up the right screen automatically, up that side screen. Waiting one extra second, like you saw, it doesn't work out. Another thing I'll be looking for here early on is Saric's position at the net when Allison's about to hit the ball, because Allison kills you with lobbing, not with driving. And I think Saric needs to be aware that maybe she doesn't have to tuck in so close to the net in this situation unless Morgan brings a little bit of heat, if that makes sense, Lauren.
I honestly think she got so close to the net yesterday because she needed to, and now she's sticking with it.
That's exactly why I mentioned it, because she made such an adjustment. But when you play against Lalich out of that deuce court, she's firing missiles, forehand or backhand, where Morgan is lobbing 7 of 8 balls, right?
Yep. And, Saric is really going to get a workout with that backhand overhead today because Morgan's going to keep putting that lob over her right shoulder to her backhand on the deuce side. So we're going to see how that holds up. So far, it looks pretty good.
Another great lob from Morgan. How many times do we say that?
Yeah. You can put that on repeat.
Yeah. Good shot. Ball stayed low out of that deuce corner. Good overhead, forcing that screen error. Love that shot from
Mhm.
Sikora there. That little backhand, little dipper, forcing Saric to go from way back to way on top of the net. That shot will bode well for them over the course of a match.
And
Those are the
Morgan likes
shots.
that shot too. She
Yes.
and she hits it nicely off the screen, off that backhand little. She just kind of drops it in front of you. So let's look for that too.
We're deuce on Saric's serve with Pejic Saric up 2-0, first set. I like the approach. It might be a little too much talking, but I like how Paige and Saric are making sure. Paige is making sure they're on the same page.
You wanted to say that, didn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's just too far over. You see what happens. I mean, you see what happens when you come too far over. If your opponent can volley behind you, you're pretty much cooked.
Yeah, I think Sarge, as she improves and she's going to gain a better awareness, she's really going to improve her net positioning. And it's just subtle little things based on where her partner is hitting the ball, where she'll read a shot earlier, you know, what that player is probably likely to do, and then she can adjust her net positioning. But I love how you just see both players at the net, you know, just bouncing really, you know, happy feet, lively feet the whole time.
Hmm.
Okay, they let the ball go, thought the ball was out. Mark Lester overruled. Back to deuce.
All right, try this again. Hmm. All right, and Saric and Page save a break point, and they're up 3-love. And here you see everyone's road to the road to the final. You see those two tough semifinal matches. I mean, Morgan and Sikora lost the first set yesterday, 6-2, so they can take solace in that if they get down any more here.
Hey, Lauren, quick shout out. We had so many sponsors. I alluded to it earlier. 29. We've mentioned the gold sponsors. We had an amazing group of silver sponsors who helped support this event. We'd like to thank Syndicate Distillery, Cannondale Generators, Howard and Gay Insurance, Foster's Lawn and Garden Supplies. We'd like to thank Hutchinson Tree Service, ONS, BTS Cross Insurance, New England Propane, Nazaro, Halfsco, Vital Stretch, Purple Frog Graphics, Berkshire Brewery, and Litchfield Distillery, Peter Baker. Just incredible support. The Fairfield County community raised over $50,000 to pull off this amazing event. And here we are, women's finals with Morgan and Sikora, number 2 seed, in a bit of a hole, down 0-3 in the first set.
Charlotte Sikora serving. You hear Charlotte Sikora getting her team pumped up here. They've had game points in 2 out of the first 3 games, so they're not far off, but nothing to show for it yet.
Interesting. Lauren's, Charlotte asking Allison asking Charlotte, wide, I think. Was it wide? I think Sikora was looking right into the sun
The
and
sun,
couldn't make
yeah.
a call.
Okay, on the board.
All right. Yeah, that was a solid hold. A lot of appreciation from the fans here.
No, I didn't.
Got a hospitality tent. We've got people from watching all over. We've got this is where you're the sponsor, Lauren. You get to stay warm. You get to bring your dog. Great setup here. Lively setup. I'm glad they didn't show the Bloody Mary bar. And you said, it's 3-1 in this match. And at 3-love, you said, the match is closer. It's like 1 or 2 points that make the difference. And that's often the case. And I always think paddle comes down to who plays those bigger points better. Lauren, Page has one of the best serves, I think, on the women's tour. Do you agree?
I agree. And it really, really moves. It really moves and has a lot of topspin on it.
She gains a great angle. She serves out so wide. You can see. You don't see any other players serve out that wide from the ad court.
Well, look where she stands. Yeah.
Here she's close to the middle, obviously, because of their formation. You can see Sikora and Morgan don't appear to be in any rush to get back to their regular starting points or which side they usually play. And I like this for them because I want that offensive threat from Sikora during some points.
She's missed that a few times. You see, look how far back she's leaning to hit that backhand. Too far back to start, and even if she is going to hit it back there, she's got to be moving in.
Beautiful service motion. Any questions about her shoulder? It looks like she feels okay.
Corian is the official wealth sponsor of the APTA's 2025-26 season. Corian is a fee-only wealth manager who puts their clients at the center of everything they do. Learn more at Corian.com.
Lauren, so here we are at the beautiful Fairfield Open. Following this, next weekend, the tour heads out to Pittsburgh for the Steel City Classic, then back to New Jersey for the Ridgewood Classic, the Ridgewood event run by the one and only Louisville Claire. Then we get the next Grand Prix up in Boston. And the last week in January, we go back to Indianapolis for a repeat Indy event, which is always a great one-day event out there. So January is action-packed for everybody. And the tour is growing. But an event that like Macy Elliott and Jeff Kong pulled together this weekend with over 350 players, 12 draws, just a phenomenal undertaking and huge success. So congrats to Macy and Jeff. Job well done. Allison Morgan serving. Allison Morgan getting crushed. Yeah, see, that's that return of Saric. It's really looks like it's one of the most effective returns on the women's tour already.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, the superlatives for Mila. They're growing every tournament. we were talking on the air about how many overall APTA events Saric has played in total. We're figuring Lisa Redloff will text me the answer. We're guessing it's about 8 events only. She's such a newbie out here, but she has risen to the top of the women's game. Just her sense, even since the Aronimig Open, outstanding. Really fun to see. Effortless switching on the baseline, Morgan Sikora. Phenomenal teamwork. What a sick volley from Morgan right there. Lauren, I feel like in the men's games with the sudden deuce scoring now, that breaks of serve are not as consequential. Where I feel like in the women's game with traditional scoring, breaks of serve are big. And this is a big serving game for Allison Morgan. She's got to figure out how to get a look. That was a good deep serve, but still Saric ripped it. Okay. But a great crack by Page on that return. And Morgan moved her serve, moved it up the tee. Wasn't deep enough. Didn't phase Page. So they're really going to have to come up with some kind of a formation, whether it's Australian, stay back. They're going to have to consider something if Morgan can't, juice these serves with a little more pace and depth. So right away, it's fascinating to me. She dumps the serve in, stays back, and Saric misses the court. She would love that one over. But Lauren, I love the adjustment. Morgan staying back. They had to do something, and they have to get themselves into the points.
Ooh.
Yeah, she doesn't miss that much.
No, she just took her eye off the ball for a second. Oh, that went in. That's the problem when you think that ball's going to go wide and you leave it.
Yeah. Lauren, I've got an update men's final, which is happening on the next court. Pardo de Andrade and Salazar put a whooping on Christian Erdoya in the first set 6-0. And we're in the first game of the second set of the men's final.
Floppy overhead.
Great move from Morgan to come out of that corner on that shot. Sweet.
And you saw Morgan there, right? She ran up, like you were saying before, she ran right up the sideline when she saw Saric winding up to hit that ball. So she would have been out there waiting for that big backhand roller, but Saric missed it.
Yep, another adjustment. Both players staying back. Sikora throwing in just to give Page and Saric different looks when they get ready to return serve. We talked about what good defense these players played yesterday. Page and Saric against Lalich and Elliott, and you can see it in this point. I mean, Saric has been thrown 8 different shots, and she's handled every single one, and she's into the grind now. And the grind, I mean, lockdown where you're not going to miss. You just are determined at certain points. Get every ball back. Get every ball back. Goes a long way.
Sikora really worked Saric over there in that corner with some waterfalls and a roller, and Saric had answers for all of it. So he hung in there long enough to get the miss from Morgan, and we're back to deuce. Ooh.
A collective oath from Long Island right there. They can't believe Saric missed. Allison kind of put a little fake. I think Saric was watching her, wasn't sure if she was coming in or not, and missed her little chip return. She would love that shot over again as well. But kudos to Morgan just for kind of messing with Saric just a tiny bit there, giving her a different look, little different shake and bake. Massive hold for Morgan right there, Lauren, for their psyche, for everything. This is Mila Saric serving, and it's Charlotte Sikora.
Okay.
With the light top out of that deuce court. How many drives will Morgan hit in this match, Lauren, on the return of serve?
There's one.
One.
That's it? That's it?
Was that the first one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, I'll just be curious over the course of this match from this point forward.
Okay.
I'll keep track of it. Because I think she has to do that to keep them honest. If she's just letting the balls go and these guys are hitting really good kick spin serves and she's thrown up a lob, it just doesn't put any initial pressure on them. And I think you got to put some early pressure on that first volley.
I agree. I mean, as a server, you're not under any pressure if you know the returner is not going to drive. Just flirting with that line there. That's a tough overhead.
I love the shot selection from Sikora when she switched into the ad quarter in that point and just hit a lot of little shots, Lauren, just to move the chess pieces on the other side of the table and got, like an easy volley error. That's what happens when you throw some of those off-speed balls in there.
And in addition, she's starting to come in behind some of them, so they're watching her.
And if they're watching her, they're not watching the ball. And that's how you can kind of force some volley errors. Or loose errors, I would say. See, right there, that was confusion, and that's where Page should have taken that ball, in my opinion. And that's where they did get in trouble a little bit yesterday in their semifinal win over Elliott and Lalich. Elliott and Lalich just didn't work that spot enough on them.
And that's what we said, right? We said that Morgan and Sikora are going to zero in on that middle and expose the indecision on that middle ball, and it's working right now.
Yeah, so they got the break of serve back there. Oh yeah, there's that 3-set score. That was what a high level women's match. That was really fun, entertaining. There were bombs going off in that match. Hey, Lauren, quick thank you to Jeff Kong and Macy Elliott for their efforts in bringing the best in the game up here to Fairfield County for this event. We know they did a tremendous amount of fundraising. Special thanks to Peter Sidney, Sarah Godwin, Lisa Sloats, Sharon Bleak, Sharon Beecher, Jim Beecher. They did an amazing job handling logistics, volunteers, website, player amenities, et cetera, et cetera. Phenomenal job. And also a huge thank you to the staff at Rolling Hills Country Club. Steve Revelant, the general manager, under his leadership and the leadership of the assistant GM, Lena Mejia, Superintendent Glenn Perry, Chef Harrison Schaefer. They did a phenomenal job. And lastly, special thank you to Lisa Cartier and Jenny Matos, employees of the club who volunteered their weekend because they love Macy Elliott so much, to come out and sell tickets and really kind of handle some of the mechanics around the tournament site. So kudos to everyone, the sponsors, the staff, and lastly to all the clubs, 25 clubs in the Fairfield County community who gave up their courts so that 350 players could compete in 12 different draws this weekend. Pretty awesome.
All right, we got a match here now.
Yep, great hold. Really good match underway. And I thought it would be pretty close, and this is kind of what I expected this match. I thought it would be neck and neck the whole way. Hey, Lauren, Court Director provides stats during APTA Tour events, and I just went on Court Director here to see what the score of the men's match is, because obviously we're watching the women. Carter DeAndrade and Salazar won the first set 6-0 we mentioned earlier over Tomas Christian and Nick Yardoya. It is 1-1 in the second set of that match. If you ever wonder about scores, go to courtdirector.com.
Yeah, it's great to be able to follow all the matches, because obviously you can only watch one at a time.
Shout out up to Toronto, Rob Mitchell. Coach Rob is doing a phenomenal job organizing the juniors up in Toronto. And he travels with the kids, Lauren, and he's getting geared up. I got an email yesterday from some of his parents about junior nationals, lining up their hotels for coming down for a great day at the end of February, hosted by Canoe Brook and run by Greg Morgan and Patty Hogan. Yeah, a couple gathering spots here, and we also have another hospitality tent that has some flat screen. So a nippy day in Connecticut, but, you know, some brave the elements more than others. Yeah, it's kind of fun. The match has settled in. You know, at the very beginning, we saw that, you know, Pejic and Saric got off to a quick start, came off that semifinal win with a lot of confidence. Morgan Sikora, you know, have found their way. They've gotten their footing here. I think they're moving really well. You can see, you know, they are positively charged individuals at all time, and that's as a team, they keep each other pumping charged, and they've kind of just fought through that early stuff, and you know, we've got a great match on our hands here now. So this will be an interesting game for me to see what formations we're going to see out of Morgan, where she made a lot of adjustments after being broken in the second game of the match. She held her last go round and put a really good deep serve in there into Sarge's forehand, taking away that two-handed backhand weapon out of that deuce court.
Watch Alice Morgan. She's just moving those lobs. Oh, gosh,
How many overheads has Sarge hit compared to Paige in this match so far? What do you think, Lauren? I have no idea. I'm just
more.
asking.
But how many backhands do you think Charlotte Sikora is hitting the net? It's unusual.
All right, good communication. Show the I formation. And it's a good play to test the hands of that net player, you know, just to see what they got. Sometimes people hold a position and then I see players don't even hit a ball anywhere near them, where it's kind of fun. Bring your power and test them, see if they can come up with the volley. And you know, the lobbing from the Morgan Sikora, they're getting Saric beyond the service line. And we saw, you know, a decent amount of blitzing off of that play from Sikora in the first set.
Mm-hmm.
And I like I said, I really want Morgan to bring that into her game a little bit more.
She can. She's very, very good blitzer. I mean, but you're right. I mean, Sikora does it. Oh, there she goes.
Right. She comes in more off of chips or plays like that. I don't see her coming in off of lobs as much.
You're right.
But I think there's an opportunity for her there. Yep, there you go. You saw the blitz because it was a really deep lob and a lob that had a lot of hang time. Would have been a really good punt in the NFL. Awesome shot from Morgan. Just let that missile go by her. Had her paddle set. Beautiful shot. Put the ball in the middle. Handled beautifully that time by Sarge. So triple set point here for Paige and Sarge against that Morgan serve. And you hear them, positivity. Even though they're down, they're in a big hole. They've got a plan and keep fighting. Lauren, we'll be right back in just a moment after these messages right here on the APTA YouTube channel with live streaming by Streambox Labs and match statistics provided by Court Director.
At Corient, wealth management begins and ends with you. We believe the more personal the solution, the more powerful the result. We treat your goals as our own. We never lose focus on the life you want to build. And our experienced advisors design custom-built strategies to help you get there. It's time for a wealth management experience as sophisticated as you are. It's time for Corient.
Welcome back to the APTA Tour. I'm Patty Hogan along with the one and only Lauren Mandel at the Rolling Hills Country Club in Wilton, Connecticut, bringing you final round action here between Sikora and Morgan. Page and Saric. As you can see, that first set won 6-4 by Page and Saric. Anything stand out to you, Lauren?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm glad for Morgan and Sikora that they made a run in the middle of that set there because they got down 4-1 and but they made some inroads, creating some confusion for Page and Saric in the middle there on those overheads, and that's what they have to keep doing. They have to keep trying to get them out of position. Like, here's a good opportunity, right? You get that exactly. So pulling Page all the way behind Saric and then going into the open court, that's a very hard volley to make. So I think that they're going to really focus on moving the ball around and keeping Page and Saric away from getting comfortable. And that's what they have to do. Page and Saric, they played a good set, right? They have so many shots to beat you with, and big serves, big returns starting with, and they executed everything well. So let's see if they can keep it up. That's going to be the difference.
So in the first set, I thought, it's going to come up down to Saric's play, and that's what I would watch. I no longer believe that. She's arrived. She's here. I'm not even thinking about her now. Now I think the match is going to come down to Morgan's serve. I think serving, it's such a factor in the game when you have the return to serve capability that we've seen here, by Page and Saric, and they just are ripping the returns. And to Morgan and Sikora's credit, they made some adjustments on it, but Morgan was still broken twice in that first set. And, there's not much difference in that match. That's just one of the tiny ones, but it might be a major difference.
I also think, Sikora missed a bunch of backhands in the first set. We just saw her hit a better one. So I think that'll be, a difference maker too, if she can reel that in.
I agree.
Usually such a big shot and reliable shot for her.
Yep, and she's got to hit it. They need her to make it to win the match, right? Don't they need that offense?
Yeah.
Because they don't, like I said, how many drive returns will Morgan hit out of that ad court? And so we'll look for that as well in the second set. I just think putting pressure on Saric and Page that they don't quite expect would go a long way. Meaning you can't be so predictable. They're such good athletes. They are so able to make adjustments, phenomenal footwork, good speed, great racket skills.
There it is again, behind. Oh, yeah.
Hey.
There's the lob, Patty. That lob pulling Page behind Saric. That's how they won both their points this game, Morgan and Sikora.
Okay, and Morgan blitzed, which I wanted, and she won the point. I'm also going to keep track of that. Morgan drive on her return to serve, and Morgan blitzes. Really good.
That's 3 this game. All right. Well, Morgan and Sikora used that lob over Saric to really good effect that game, and they're in the lead. And I think they're onto something.
I think you're right, Lauren. Lauren, the hospitality tents that are kind of surrounding the ground. Everybody just went inside. You know why?
Pretty loud.
They went inside because it's loud, but they went inside because they heard that entries are opening up February 1st for Team Nationals. Lauren, did you get your team yet?
No.
Are you working on it? I hope so, because having announcers play on teams at Team Nationals is a rewarding experience, I assure you. And you can see an update on the
I
men's
played
side.
once. I did play it once. I had a great time in New Jersey. My husband's gonna play.
Awesome. So you get 6 to 7 or 8 of your friends. CTIs are within a range of probably a maximum of 15 points, let's call it. APTA, Amin Kaduri, Greg Morgan, Mike Raleigh spent an inordinate amount of time. You can't even imagine lining up the divisions for play. Every team's guaranteed 4 matches. Make it to the finals, get a 5th match in there. An awesome experience. So much fun. Love being a part of Team Nationals. Signups will start early February. January is the time to organize your team. And make sure when you sign up, you give the APTA at least 6 players. You can add another player, but you can't really sign up a team and us hold a spot for you if you only have 5. I got my marching orders the other day on it, Lauren.
Okay, good.
So you can see, an adjustment Morgan Sikora made is Sikora serving the first game of the set for their team as opposed to Allison Morgan. So they've made that subtle little adjustment because Sikora was never broken in that first set. Really great footwork from Sarge. Come all the way out of that corner, all the way up close to the net to hit that ball from Sikora. You can kind of feel the intensity, Paige and Sarge. They're bummed they lost that point. I love that in competitors when they realize the importance of every point.
This is a big moment here. can see how important this point is.
Sikora just made 3 straight blocks on balls that she thinks could potentially hit the Nick. She's blocking those balls. Doing a great job.
That was the play.
But you see, on all those overheads that Sikora beautifully defended, you see Paige just lining up, bending her knees. You know she's going to bring a 50-mile-an-hour fastball at you. And Sikora just blocked up that corner, set her paddle, just tried to keep the ball back in play, not wanting to risk the ball hitting the Nick. Okay.
It's so frustrating, right? You work so hard to, the game is such a long game, such a long point on game point, and then you miss 2 serves. That's paddle, but that is frustrating. Misserve by Page. You see that Morgan put that ball right over Saric's right shoulder, and she had to reach back to hit that backhand overhead, and hard to control the ball when you're falling back like that.
Yeah, Morgan Sikora probably the best team on tour and spotting their lobs, Lauren, and breaking people down. Do you think? Do you agree?
Definitely.
Lauren, all 4 women are teaching pros, some of the finest from around the country. Want to tell us a little bit about where they all work?
Sure. Allison Morgan is the co-director at the Birchwood Club in Chicago, with her husband, Adam, who's a top player, won nationals last year. And Charlotte Sikora is a professional in Pennsylvania. She runs her own company.
Racket Odyssey.
Yes, Racket Odyssey, and she takes people on racket-themed trips, right?
Yeah, adventures around the world with Charlotte.
I like that, adventures around the world with Charlotte. And Mila Saric is at the Huntington Country Club in Long Island, in New York. And
mentored by Lisa Rudloff.
But yes, a wonderful mentor in Lisa Rudloff. And Taya Page is at Fox Meadow, and lives in Stamford, Connecticut with her husband, who also played in this tournament.
So, Paige and Sarge just a little bit 2-1. like we expected, this is a pretty close. I think it's a close, well played match. It's entertaining. A lot of back and forth. I just feel like there's the firepower that Page and Saric can deliver from time to time seems to be more consistent than the firepower I'm getting from Morgan Sikora thus far.
Yeah.
I just feel like they just keep that constant pressure on you. So Morgan Sikora, veteran team, they always take a lot of time. They're going to chat about a lot of things, and wisely so, because this is the critical game for them, I think, in this second set. They switched serving order. Sikora went first, but she was broken. And here's Allison, who had been broken twice in that first set. They need a hold right here.
Yeah, this is the game you said, we're going to be watching for, the Morgan serve.
It's interesting. We talked about them changing their serving order. Saric and Page changed their serving order as well because they have the lefty righty, and so you can avoid looking into the sun. Which put Page, their stronger server, more consistent server, second in the order, not first. And Saric actually was broken in that first game of this second set. So serving order does make a difference.
Yeah. And that seems to be a winning play for them right now. They have to do something to get into the face of Page and Saric when they're at the net because they're just too comfortable. And so that little blitz is working. And even when it doesn't work, at least they have to look for it.
Kudos to tour directors out there today. Cindy Haber's out there with Jackie Cameron. Every once in a while, you'll see some red jackets moving around quickly. They're the ones who do a monster load of work, particularly on like the yesterday's event. So, 350 players, 12 draws. That takes an incredible amount of effort. On the day of these events to pull it off and in advance. And Deb Scully, all the APTA employees behind the scenes who give it their all. Karen Najedlik on the live, she's doing everything with the tournament work, tournament support, live streaming. Kudos to everybody who, and the growth in our sport and the increased number of APTA members allows the APTA to bring you live streaming every single weekend on the APTA tour, or most weekends. That was a little bit of a shocking overhead error, wouldn't you say, Lauren?
I would.
Yeah, just because it was a short lob. Sikora was lined up beautifully. Maybe changed her mind at the last second on that shot. So here we have. Oh, I was wrong. Saric is the. Oh no, yeah, Saric served first. So Saric is serving. That's Page up at the net on the far side. Saric is the lefty. After this event, we're confident Saric no longer is someone that the game doesn't know. She has arrived on the big stage and just played a wonderful tournament.
And people noticed her before this. I mean, Taya Page, who's one of the top 2 or 3 players in the country, was certainly not playing with an unknown person here. But she's been an up and comer, and now she's just up.
Yes, exactly. Love the move from Morgan right there. Way to just put some pressure. But it was handled beautifully that time. Saric and Page just, they're switching back and forth, lefty, righty, effortless. I think that's because they both have the same instincts, which are incredible God-given instincts. I like Page taking charge, calling this, and this is where a little confusion happened yesterday, where they have zero confusion now. That ball coming out of that half court from Morgan. Really quick decision making, early decision making by Page and Saric. I want Sikora to pull a Nunes here. I want her, like during these points, you know, she wants to insert herself and apply some pressure. And you know how we see Nunes do it a lot on the men's tour, where he'll creep inside the baseline and just see if he can't short hop a ball. I don't know, something just to offset their timing a little bit.
You saw on that point, Saric changed her serve to just get it in, which she did successfully, and then missed the volley. Oh, there's the big serve again.
See, I think when Saric, like on that deep ball, I'd like to see Morgan be in a step and not let Saric's overhead go into that corner. Because then I feel like it's advantage Saric on the overhead. Sikora, we highlighted earlier how she was playing, like really blocking a lot of the overheads, not letting them go in from the ad court. I almost would like to see her do that a little bit, I think, out of that two court, versus letting that ball just go in. She's allowing Saric just to hit easy overhead side back over there. And I think Morgan being forward in the court at that moment could possibly give her a little bit of an opportunity for an offensive moment. Catch him off guard. Wow. Great combination of shots from Morgan Sikora. Great get there from Saric to just keep the point going.
Yes, way to stay calm.
Thanks, Lauren. I try to stay calm when I'm talking to you. It's not easy.
And
I'm
it's not
incredible.
easy to stay calm when you're, you have people charging up to the net and hitting the balls at you, and it's easy to just panic and swing at the ball. But good discipline.
Wow. Big point right there. Another huge sigh of relief from Morgan Sikora right there. That was a nice gift from Saric. She's a nice young woman. Uh-oh. This is the only thing that I saw, a little bit earlier in the season where, sometimes when you have a screw up, it's so easy to go too fast into the next point, and then you have another screw up, where I think veterans learn to take a little bit more time after an error so you don't go on an error streak. Wow, great volley.
Patty, that was pretty huge, that game. I mean,
yeah, gigantic. Hey, Lauren, we've seen the tour results there from the APTA Tour event, but like we said, there are 15 events or 12 different draws going on this weekend. Let's do a quick shout out. Let's go around the horn. The one in the men's challenger event, they had two challenger events. They had so many players. In one, it was run by Babitsky and Podursky, and I apologize in advance for how I pronounce anybody's name incorrectly. in the second challenger event. It was won by former junior Nats player Will Cannon, who played with Jason Automano. So the juniors coming through there with a 3-set win in the second challenger. We had a green flight PTI event won by Holmes and Wade in a 3-set battle. In the blue fight, Ferrante and Regan prevailed. Freelandhuisen and Vandervelde came through in the indigo flight. And then in the violet flight, I mean, this was incredible. 5 PTI flights, Geary and Sussman prevailed. And then I believe in the silver flight, Katropa and Sherman. So on the men's side, 8 events. On the women's side, we had 4 events. This is obviously the tour final. We also had a challenger event. That was won by Greco and Stein in a 3-set win. Fee and Olsen won the red flight for the women's PTI. And then in the other PTI event, the yellow flight, Forrestal and Johnson prevailed in 3 sets. Ton of competitive matches for every level player here at the Fairfield Open. Kudos one last time to Jeff Gong and Macy Elliott. They hit it out of the park. Hey, Lauren, I got to ask you something. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you a Jets fan or a Giants fan?
Oh, God, a Giants fan. I mean, not that it's easy to be either. A fan of either.
You a Jason Dart fan?
Jackson.
Jackson Dart? Are you a Jackson Dart fan?
I am.
I bring him up because he's the real deal, I think, and I love his personality and his competitiveness, and you know, he can make a difference. I think he'll be someone in the future who's going to be phenomenal in the whole league. And I just keep thinking about Saric here and her trajectory, her improvement from last season to right now.
Yeah.
It's just lights out. I just love young players coming in who just have a big faith in their own ability to compete no matter what. And she's got that it factor. And I apologize to Jackson for calling him Jason.
I'm sure he forgives you. Yeah, I mean, look, we got to see 2 young players in the semis. Well, I mean, Taya Page is young too, but 2 players that most people haven't seen before in the semis, Mil Saric, and in the other semifinal against Morgan and Sikora, Matea Mahalovic. So, like you said, there's a lot of good young talent coming up, and we're starting to see that. They're starting to have results.
You know, we mentioned Morgan Sikora reached 1 final so far this season together. That was, I'm not sure we mentioned that. That was in Baltimore where they lost to Lopez and Page. On another note, though, you know, Morgan Sikora just not playing as many tournaments together just for a variety of reasons this year. And to mix it up a little bit, Morgan has played 2 tournaments with Ellie Hallbauer, and they won the Medina event over Barron and Middle, Chelsea Middle, and they also won the event out in Cleveland over Delmonico Seppia. So, you know, we're seeing something on the women's tour that's kind of like the men's tour, where players mixing it up a little bit out of necessity or by choice due to travel, whatever it is, illnesses, injuries. But I think it's great for the game and great for these players to mix it up.
And great for Morgan and Sikora to get to 3 all.
Yeah. All right, that's Taya Page serving, and Charlotte Sikora hitting the return. There's Allison Morgan with that blue hat. What a heavy roller right there, hit by Page. Again, Morgan really not looking to drive any of her returns. I'd love to see an occasional one, but credit to the serves of Saric and Page for actually kind of not making it easy for Allison to get many looks for her forehand on the return. Really good lob, caused a little confusion. Would have loved to have seen Sikora hit that next shot between the two players. If you got two players going for the same shot and you get the next ball, good idea to test them in that spot again. Really good winding overheads. These big, powerful, rolling overheads. Real difference in the game, in the women's game in the last couple of seasons. And the top players, someone on your team's got to be able to hit that shot to really make the baseline players, despite how great footwork, a team like Morgan Sikora have, you've got to hit that ball to pull the players way forward into the court. Beautiful lefty overhead swing. I love the motion. Saric just really added to her overhead variety in the last 2 months.
And it's getting a lot more spin.
Yeah, yesterday she got herself in a little bit of trouble sometimes by overjuicing it, too much power, Lauren, against Lalich and Elliott, who are high ball strikers, where you get away with it more against some maybe like an Allison Morgan because she's just a little a little smaller.
That was a heck of a paddle shot.
Wow.
The forehand dipper. Short dipper.
Yep. Little indecision in the
I
middle
know.
there.
I thought she was going to hit her.
Yep. And that's
Much
why
better backhands by
that's why I
Sikora.
think it's good to constantly test, put some pressure on that middle, especially when there's a little confusion. They had kind of cleaned up that coverage on the ball coming out of the ad port, but it's much more confusing, it appears, if that ball's coming from the deuce court for them, but not necessarily, but just a little bit. And I think it just comes down to early calling between the two players at the net. And I think it's on Page. She's the one who's got to make the early calls for her team.
She certainly made no mistake about that forehand roller.
And Lauren, you play with these women. You're lucky enough to get in practice games. Roll off some of the people you get to practice with every week.
Well, not everybody every week, but sometimes with Taya Page, with Matea Mahalovic.
Nice.
Daniela Baez, Amy Shea, Jolene Sutter, Anna Brzova. Bringing out some names. Martina Andrekova.
Oh, I love it. All those players, great players from the past, not all playing tournaments anymore, but I love that you get in those games and you get to see the veterans and you get to see the rising stars.
It's fun. It's fun on both ends, and nice to see everyone. And nice to see Jolene Sutter back out here with Gabby Nicolescu. Nice to have both of those veterans back out on the court. They made it to the quarters and lost to Page and Saric.
Gigantic game right here for Morgan again. I mean, At 3-2, I was thinking about 3 sets. I feel like, I don't know. I got to say, I'm loving the match played by Taya Page from start to, where we are. She's just every point so rock solid.
I got to say, the difference so far in this set is, I just said it before, is Sikora's backhand. I mean, she's not missing those anymore. So,
Yeah. Lauren, what adjustment do you think she made?
I think she instead of stepping to the side was stepping in. She was standing so far back and moving to her right to hit the ball, and now she's stepping in. She took a little pace off of it.
Right there, I was shocked. Saric hasn't made any errors like that. Kind of unexpected right there. Big relief for Morgan Sikora. Wow. A lot of pressure, just couldn't make that one, and all of a sudden Morgan Sikora. Oh my gosh. So fortunate. I always love 3 sets. Why not? But most importantly, I want both teams to feel like they played they gave it their all. They played pretty well. And, sometimes you get beaten on Sundays. You just hate losing. Wow. What a hold.
What a hold for Allison Morgan.
All right, so Saric serving 4-all. Second set, finals. Fairfield Open. Paige and Saric won the first set 6-4. I'm Patty Hogan with Lauren Mandel. Calling the action.
Okay, last time Saric served, she lost that pretty heartbreaking game.
Love the move. Yeah, she did. I love the move from Sikora standing up there because they were, Saric and Paige are showing you a formation. Why not go match it? She went up there. She won't do it a lot, but it forced a volley error. It accomplished exactly what it was supposed to. Just kind of surprise and get an error. See, this is where I want a little pressure on the return from Allison. The momentum, the pendulum swinging their way a little bit. There she goes.
It's a nice return.
Yep.
Woo.
Wow, it went off the tip of her paddle. I think she just misjudged the height of that ball. And Charlotte's a tall woman. Even Charlotte couldn't reach that one.
Good sportsmanship. She said it right away.
Again, good little roll dipping ball from Morgan. I like that she's thinking some pressure here. Again, I expect a down the line drive from, last time Sikora got on top of the net, she didn't make that play this time.
Oh, she missed it. A rare lob miss. Sikora's going to serve to try to stay in this match, Patty.
Yeah. And one more time, kudos to that voice you heard, the umpire, Mark Lester, for this match. Thanks, Mark, for helping the APTA out. And thanks to all the umpires who get out there. We couldn't do it without you. The tour relies on volunteers from around the country. And some people volunteer, some people are compensated for their time, but we need volunteers. Anybody interested, you can always reach out to the APTA. Mike Yahimsky heads up the umpires. You get the best seat in the house, albeit it might be chilly on some days. But it is a phenomenal seat. If you don't mind ladders and heights, contact the APTA to see if you can get involved. All right, so Paige and Saric up 5-4. Second set, they won the first. Sikora serving. Saric whipping another two-handed backhand.
She hit her?
I think so.
She did.
Yeah, they just don't seem to be able to avoid it, and I'm a little surprised on a key point there. They didn't throw a little bit of a different look to Saric.
Great guess. Not that one.
Yeah, great combination of shots. Love that drop shot. People, I always say, why don't you hit more drop shots? And they're like, I don't know how. Look what Morgan did. She just stuck her paddle up, and it was the right ball, a ball coming to her with very little pace, and she just let it flip the paddle top down for the win. You can see how deep Saric is on the baseline, really near us in this camera view. You can see Paige really doing her Guillermo Nunez impression, and I just mean someone looking to take away time, be like a surprise attack, but get inside that baseline, pick up something. And Lauren, when I said it yesterday during our semi, you watch Paige, she wants to hit the next ball.
Yeah.
You could just feel it in these moments, pressure-filled moments. It's just, she wants to be the one.
It's a sign of a champion.
Yep. Yeah. I like Paige took a little something off that ball slightly. She showed the big windup, but she hit a ball that was a little bit of a dipping ball, and Morgan just was a little jumpy on it, and it made a volley error. 30-all, 2 points.
Yeah, where's Sikora going to hit this serve? She doesn't want to have to hit one of these backhands, and she does.
Yeah. Just missed wide, and we have our first tournament point for Paige and Saric. I think Paige is going to drive. What do you think, Lauren?
I do.
She was just as juice as we were.
She didn't even.
Yeah.
She didn't even hit it that hard.
She would like that again.
Yeah.
Kind of just got away from her. Great hands. What a move. Came up with that little short ball. You see the constant footwork from Paige, even when she's not hitting the ball. Yep, she's still a bum.
She's mad. She missed, 2 points in a row.
That one she really wanted. The other one she didn't look mentally ready to execute. All right, opportunity Morgan Sikora to get to 5-all, second set here. Yeah, Paige didn't go for much. Routine first volley for Sikora there. And Paige couldn't go for much because she missed 2 drives in a row. Great off-speed ball there, just a little surprise shot. And look at that, Lauren. These women battle it out, and then a 3-mile-an-hour shot and wins a point. It's amazing.
Oh, too bad.
Oof.
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of the off-speed pitch.
Yep. Match point number 2 for Paige and Saric. Wow. Really?
That was right. I mean,
I'm
when was the
shocked.
last time you saw her lob a return?
I think in a warm-up. All right. They're fighting. This is vintage Morgan Sikora. Always gonna battle you. Really good depth on that first volley.
Yeah.
wild exchanges here. Ah, brilliant shot from
Ooh.
Morgan. Ah,
Uh-oh. There
brilliant.
goes our camera.
You know, cameras move.
So if I'm Saric now, I'm saying to Paige, which clearly she's not because they're not talking, I'm saying hit the return. But if you miss it, you miss it, but hit it.
All right, so second opportunity to tie it up 5-all here for Morgan Sikora. And Allison, her move on that last shot, I love that. That was bold, that was brave, and she needed to do it for their team. That was great.
All right, 2 match points saved, and we're at 5-all.
Yeah, I mean, that court bounced around, everything bounced around, our cameras bounced around, but thankfully we've got some other camera angles to watch the action. Not too many brave people outside now. It is a frigid day in Connecticut here, and the hospitality inside. We don't have a camera on the one inside. That's where everybody's staying warm and enjoying the action.
Such great hands. I mean,
how fun. Great play, great pressure. Just didn't come up with it. That's Taya Page serving. Morgan about to hit a return. Will it be a drive?
Nope.
Really good serve. Aiming at that nick to her backhand, just had to block lob it. Awesome. Straight ahead. Soft volley from Allison Morgan there. She could have put that ball 17 places on the court, but she hit such a ball that was unreturnable because it no pace, perfect placement. I like the movement. Court coverage from Morgan Sikora here. Couldn't quite come up with that one. What a beautifully placed ball.
well, that's true.
So that's exactly the right outcome. It's Sikora Morgan's point. I'm not sure Sarge knows the rule here, to tell you the truth. Lauren, you agree? Morgan
Yeah.
Sikora's point?
Yeah.
as best you can understand what's going on.
I mean,
I don't know who that
Yeah.
was over to the right, but it was definitely another umpire who knew the rules. So we're at 30 all. Page Saric up. 6-4, 5 all second set. 30 all in this game. Lauren, I see two little kids watching to the left of our screen. I think there's a little girl. She's got her jacket unzipped. The sun's on her. She's not phased by the cold.
it's a hardy New Englander.
You know, that's a real. We got two potential kids for junior nationals in a couple of years right there. They're a little young right now, but once they get to be 9 or 10, think about getting your kids involved with the junior
Oh, there's
team.
that backhand.
There it is. I love the move from Morgan. Oof. Might have been going out, but you don't want to let it go at this point. Hey, Lauren, great news in the paddle world. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
E. Lopez, Alvy Regalado, got engaged over the new year.
Amazing. Congratulations to them.
You, but I just got a little note from B. Congrats, B. We're missing you out here today,
Yeah.
playing with Taya Page, but you're nice to share, your partner. And congratulations on getting engaged to your life partner, the one and only Alvy Regalado. Congrats, guys. Lauren, it's so rare that we get to share like social media type news.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That's a big one. They're great people, two of the top players in our game.
Yeah, that's a paddle power couple.
That is a power couple. We'll be looking for them to win mixed nationals again. They won it a couple years ago. Haven't played the last 2 years. Mixed nationals, husband, wife, watch out. I'm going to ask B if I can be a flower girl. You want me to ask for you too, Lauren? No, I don't think they want me as a flower girl. I'd have fun at the party, though. All right, so we're 6-5, second set. Paige Saric up here. Won that first set 6-4. Morgan Sikora never going away in any match. They're such great champions, such great players, really great competitors, and 6-5 in the second set. But this is the game that's going to be the game of games. Morgan struggled to hold serve today, and the returns from Paige and Saric have really been the difference, Lauren. One of the differences. Wow.
The sound that ball made.
Yeah, that ball just hung up there in the middle of the court. High bouncing ball. Boom. Paige crushed it. I might have run for the Rolling Hills banner at that moment in time.
Sikora stood admirably still, but
Yeah.
she just couldn't control it.
Yeah, I think I would have run all together or closed in and just put my paddle in very close to the net.
No, missed it. Pulled her back just far enough with that lob, and Morgan couldn't control it. Ah,
Good hand. Really good hand from Sikora. You got to love Sarge still ripping that two-handed all day long here, all tournament long.
that's the same problem she had in the last game, you know, when they went returning for the match. Her forehand let her down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's not letting her down, though. All right, is Paige going to hit this return, Patty? Match point again.
Yes.
I hope so. Sort of.
She just hit a really well-measured drive. Nothing wild, not excessive speed. Put the ball in play. Still always want to make that person come up with that first volley.
Ooh.
Oh, what? Oh boy, Lauren! What an amazing dipping shot, and there you have it. Paige, Saric. Saric was first tour win on the APTA tour. Phenomenal.
Well deserved. Saric was solid as a rock down the stretch there. Great playing.
Yeah, and what about this break point? You see 3 of 4 for Morgan Sikora, only 5 of 9 for Pejic Sarge. They had a lot of opportunities, but to Morgan Sikora's credit, they negated that. That stat didn't. They kind of hung in there and really battled. Total number of points, 53 to 47. Like we said, Lauren, not a great gap or big margin between these players, but really well played match. And congratulations to Saric and Paige. Really a strong win. We're going to wrap that up from the 2026 Fairfield Open Women's Final. But we hope you'll join us next Saturday for the Steel City Classic, coming to you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.